world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen.
Then with a crash came a great ringing shout. Ra, Oom, Ra.
3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
Okay, we're starting this one final time. It's talking about
Tolkien.
All right.
We did it.
Lock in.
Successful
Chapter 5.
Recording. Good job, people.
Chapter 5 of Return of the King, The Ride of the Rohirrim. And this is the chapter I would wager almost everyone who read the book as a child and has not read it since has forgotten.
Yes.
Because it is not in the movie in any way, shape, or form.
Remember the Pukul men or their descendants at all. Because they were cut.
Yes, this chapter, none of this chapter is in the movie, not even a little.
Which
didn't even try.
Kind of odd, because you'd think you would at least make it so that the Rohirrim had to walk around the main path between Rohan and Gondor. Because that, Sauron was like, I don't want these two joining forces. Why don't I just park a big force between them? But
Peter Jackson doesn't care about the military aspects at all.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I feel like he would admit that.
We should have sent him to Iraq. He would have gotten the experience.
The fun thing, it was a pre-9/11 world, Nate.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Pre-9/11 world. Where could it be? Croatia? Like
Bosnia?
Yeah. Shit, dog.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Iraq was far away.
Yeah, it was a twinkle in George's eye.
Yeah, Bill Clinton was still president.
Yeah, but he had to win that. He had to get the Supreme Court to declare him the winner of that presidential election first.
Been downhill ever since.
Yeah. We tried to recreate. We tried to get another child predator in the White House, but it's just not the same, Ben.
Yeah. So it's talking about Tolkien.
It's talking about Tolkien,
chapter 5. I'm in hell. I'm in a time loop. It's okay. So yeah, big difference from the movie. The book is very meticulous about the combat and the battles and all of this. So in the last chapter, the Siege of Gondor, Sauron's forces surrounded Gondor. They took the Pelennor fields, and they took the roads leading into Gondor.
Yeah, it's a siege.
They anticipate that Rohan will be coming from the west, and they have seized all possible paths that the Rohirrim could take, and they are actively digging trenches in the roads and settling in.
They're fighting against horses, so they know what do horses hate? Trenches with big pointy sticks inside of them.
So they have made ready to fight the Rohirrim, and there is basically no way for the Rohirrim to get to Gondor. All of these people who were saying, you're not going to come soon enough. We'll be like Aragorn was freaking out about it. And then the messengers from Gondor were freaking out about it. Like the timelines just weren't going to work. And now they're realizing
we had a situation. Okay. We had to fight another separate war with another evil magic guy. Cut us a break.
Well, they couldn't help it. They literally did come as fast as they could. They were on the move as soon as they could be. Sauron's plan was just too good. And now, Merry, we get his perspective again.
This would have taken place during the same time frame as the last chapter. Because the last chapter ended with the horns of Rohan and the horses charging. which is also how this chapter is going to end.
Yeah, and at the end of that chapter, you're kind of supposed to wonder, how did they get here? What does that mean?
Yeah, because they were talking a whole lot about, like, the road's cut off. We're screwed. It doesn't matter if Rohan's coming because they're not going to get here. It's impossible.
When they even comment, they unfortunately find the body of the messenger who was supposed to ride back with news that they were going to be coming within 3 days.
Yeah.
And which means the message never got delivered to Denethor, that Theoden was on his way. And Theoden
he seems to be pretty mentally well kept, so he doesn't need good news right about now.
Theoden even remarks that, like, oh no, they don't even know we're coming. Like when he sees like Gondor besieged with fires inside and out, he's like, they don't even know we're on the way. They must really think it's the end. And
fortunately,
cut to Denethor.
Nothing bad happened to his son, his last remaining son. So I'm sure he's doing well, right? I mean, he'll rally the city and he'll give the old college try. Yeah,
so there's that. That's a difference from the movie where Denethor's. I believe in the movie, Denethor, as soon as they surround Gondor, this is right when Gandalf hits him in the head. And like Denethor's like, Theoden's betrayed me. Flee for your lives. And then Gandalf smacks him in the face. Which I have to imagine, like, it was funny.
Would get an armed response.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it was funny in the movie.
You just punched our. He's not our king, but like the closest thing we have to one right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like I get it, but also Denethor and Gondor are very different in the movie, so maybe the guards just aren't very good at being guards. So anyway, that's the difference. So this chapter is all about how do the Rohirrim get there. Merry is riding with Durnhelm,
the hottest man I have ever seen.
Durnhelm, weirdly, he doesn't talk to a lot of people, almost like he doesn't want them to hear his voice.
It sounds like, hey guys, you got that high tea like me? Eating your protein.
The interesting thing, though, is there seems to be some understanding that Durnhelm has with his commander. So they are split up into small contingents called Eored. And I don't know the Old English well enough to know, but I think red might mean, it might be related to the word that means like wisdom or counsel or rule. So it could be.
We just use it to describe a color, so we're not as advanced as the Old English.
Actually, if you're from Pennsylvania Dutch territory, all the,
as we should all be, yeah.
The several people from Pennsylvania Dutch territory listening to this will know that if you were ever told to red up a room, it actually relates, the German word relates back to this Old English word as well. And it means to like make organized, to make right. But anyway, I think these are like horse contingent basically, or like horse command.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Durnhelm's Eored is under the command of Elfhelm. And Elfhelm and Durnhelm seem to have some understanding that Durnhelm just kind of does whatever Durnhelm wants to do and gets away with a lot, and they all just pretend Merry's not there. To the point where they joke about it. Like he almost trips over Merry in the dark. Merry's like, I know you're treating me like luggage, but I'm not actually luggage. And he's like, sorry, Master Bag. I come from the king. I have orders, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, everybody in this particular company is just pretending they're not seeing what they're seeing, which maybe is how Frazetta imagined Arwen got away with it.
That is, and that's how I would cope. Just like, you know what, not seeing any of this. No one likes a snitch. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and keep writing.
Well, yeah, are you gonna snitch on the who do you know? You're some peasant who got called up to ride. Are you gonna get into the middle of a fight between the princess and the king?
No, I'm good.
No, you're not.
Nope.
Yeah.
I see nothing. I hear nothing. Eyes straight ahead.
Yeah. So as far as the larger army knows, though, they Durnhelm and Merry just don't exist, and Durnhelm's laying low. The orcs are all over, and in fact, they're coming down the western road, as well as laying traps. They're roaming the mountains, and some important council is being held between the king and some mysterious visitors. And Merry is going to spy on it. So Elfhelm tells Merry.
Yeah, how else will Frodo get the story if Merry isn't there to hear some of it to later tell him for his book?
And it reinforces the ability of hobbits to be sneaky. Hobbits, Tolkien talks about this all the time, is that if a hobbit doesn't want to be seen by the big people, they are very effective at not being seen by the big people, which is why we haven't, found their thriving communities in the hills of England, because they still exist, according to Tolkien, growing tobacco.
Well, that sounds great. And, the more I think about it, the more I want in.
Right. The enemy is on the road, not in the hills, Elfhelm says. The mysterious drumming that Merry has been hearing in the hills that has been making him upset is the Woses. The Woses are the wild men of the woods, and they still haunt the Druidan forest. Remnants of an older time they be, living few and secretly, wild and wary as the beasts. They go not to war with Gondor or the Mark, but now they are troubled by the darkness and the coming of the orcs. They fear lest the dark years be returning. So, as we discussed, the people who made the Pukelmen statues are the Druidan. And that's who Elfhelm is calling the Woses. And they have existed in these lands for quite a long time. I think they have existed in these lands possibly since Morgoth was around. And
at the very least, since Sauron was last here.
Yeah. And I think their main concern is that they want to be left the hell alone.
Yeah.
They're more in touch with nature. They hunt using bow and arrow, poison tips.
Poisons.
They don't make war. They don't make weapons. They don't make armor. They're a people that live very much in harmony with the land. It's an interesting thing for Tolkien to have included. And they speak the common tongue with a grammar and a cadence that is a little unfortunately reminiscent of the way Native Americans were portrayed in movies around the time Tolkien would have been writing this.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
I don't know. Now, it's not really bad. Like the Pukul, like the Woses, they don't sound unintelligent or anything like that, but their introduction is a little like stereotypical, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's an accurate portrayal of someone who like barely speaks common. And I don't know how many movies Tolkien watched, to be perfectly honest.
He was too busy talking about his book.
He was too busy talking about Beowulf.
That sounds on brand.
Dude he had, with his students, this is when you could do this with your students. He had beer and Beowulf nights. Where
why'd we get rid of that?
He'd invite all the students to the local pub and they'd try to read Beowulf in an Anglo-Saxon.
Why'd we get rid of that?
Too many.
Too woke or not woke enough? I don't know which one.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. It's not the right amount.
It's not the right amount, and that's why society is crumbling. Because we don't have beer and Beowulf nights. B&B. I need my B&B.
I mean, we could do it, I guess. I don't drink,
all right, but I'll have to bring the beer. Actually, I wouldn't bring beer because I hate beer, but I'll bring something else.
Okay.
Booze and Beowulf.
Yeah, that works. Mead and merriment. The Woses, they have come to Theoden.
I do like how straightforward they are.
Yep, they spotted him on the march, and they're like, look, we're not going to fight, but we can help you. We don't want orcs all over the place, you know. We don't love you guys stealing our land, cutting down our forests, and occasionally just killing us because you think it's funny. But we hate the orcs more because they do all of that, but more. And they're more effective. So they will not fight. They only hunt. They will kill the orcs in the woods if they see them, but they can still help them. For the wild men have long ears and long eyes. They know all paths. Wild men live here before stone houses, before tall men come up out of the water. So they were here at least before the fall of Numenor, confirmation.
Yeah.
Éomer and Theoden are like, well, that's lovely, but I don't know how you're going to, if you're not going to fight, I don't know how you're going to help us with the massive amount of orcs that stand between us and where we need to go. And the wild men say, well, we look out from stone hills, or we look out from hills. We climb Big Mountain and look down. Stone City is shut. Fire burns there outside, now inside too.
Is that what Mundburg is? Because they said Mundburg is on fire. I can't remember who said that.
I think Stone City is Gondor.
Okay, so Mundburg is like a tiny, like,
yeah, it's like
suburb,
a
or like yeah.
So if they want to go there, then you have to be quick. And they say that the number of orcs are far exceeding the number of horsemen. So if they want to go, we better go now. And Éomer asks a kind of offensive question. He says, how do you know how many there are? And the guy responds with a tone and says, wild men are wild, free, but not children. I am great headman Ghân-buri-Ghân. I count many things, stars in sky, leaves on trees, men in the dark. You have scores of scores counted 10 times and 5. They have more. And many more walk around the walls of stone houses. And Theoden starts to despair, but Ghân-buri-Ghân says,
none of that. You shut up.
Ghân-buri-Ghân wasn't done talking. I don't know why everybody's despairing. Many paths were made when Stonehouse folk were stronger. They carved hills as hunters carve beast flesh. So he's talking about the men of Numenor when they had first come from Numenor, and they were at the height of their power and technology. They were able to carve roads through the hills like it was nothing.
Yeah, with those laser beams that they had from space.
The aliens gave it to them.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that Ancient Aliens gets wrong. It's not aliens. It's elves. And they just removed the true West from our dimension, which is why we don't see them anymore.
And that's where Bigfoot is.
Yeah, he can come in and out because Bigfoot is
It's
a
all
nature
making
spirit. He's like a
sense.
Tom Bombadil figure. Yeah,
Maybe that is Tom Bombadil.
could be.
We don't know.
Could be. Could have just let the beard grow.
Big facts. I think we solved it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the books. You just got to read. So there's a road that is forgotten that connects, I think, what used to be a city to Minas Tirith. This road is overgrown now, but such was the technological prowess of the men of Gondor that that road still functions. It's overgrown but not gone, and there is room enough for 4 horsemen to ride abreast. And it's a little narrow at the beginning, a little narrow at the end, but they'll basically be totally covered, and they can move their whole army almost directly to Gondor, circumventing the orcs.
Hell yeah.
And Theoden says, all right, you got a deal. And he thinks about it, and he says, we're going to leave a bunch of orcs behind us. Doesn't really matter, because if Minas Tirith falls, then it doesn't matter. So he says, if you guys keep your end of the bargain, then I will give you
I love this part.
I will give you rich reward, and you shall have friendship of the mark forever. And Ghân-buri-Ghân replies, do you want to do it?
I paraphrase.
Okay, I'll read the quote.
Okay.
Dead men are not friends to living men, and give them no gifts, said the wild man. But if you live after the darkness, then leave the wild men alone in the woods, and do not hunt them like beasts anymore. Ghân-buri-Ghân will not lead you into a trap. He will go himself with Father of Horsemen, and if he leads you wrong, you will kill him.
Yeah, I love that he was like, I don't want or need your gifts, just stop killing us.
Yep. And
leave us the fuck alone.
Hey, Theoden's like, Deal. Easiest deal I ever made.
Yeah.
See, the trick is, and America has adopted this strategy many times, the trick is to be so annoying that doing nothing is the reward. Do you know how much the world would give us to just stay home? That's something to be desired, I think. And the sun's coming up quick, so they got to go. And this is another one where we get a little bit more from Merry's perspective. He doesn't really know too much about what's going on, but he knows just enough to follow along. And they successfully navigate through the woods. They come about to the point where Gandalf, I don't know if it's the exact same, but it's the same wall, I think. I don't know if it's the same gate that Pippin and Gandalf went through. And the orcs have done the horsemen a big favor here.
Yeah, I was going to mention this and another thing, which plays into the theme of evil often fucking itself over.
Yeah. So those walls that would have been a hindrance to a bunch of guys on horses trying to get through, the orcs have torn them down. Walls stand up no longer. Gorgon, which is the Wozy word for orcs, Gorgon knock them down. They knock them down with earth thunder and with clubs of black iron. They are unwary and do not look about them. They think their friends watch all roads. And then Éomer says that thing. Our enemy's devices oft serve us in his despite. And that's actually an interesting line, because that is a paraphrase that I will always remember when Tolkien uses the phrase he's, instead of saying in spite of me or in spite of whatever, he says in my despite. And that echoes something Ilúvatar says to Melkor when Melkor is weaving a bunch of discord into the music. He says I forget the exact quote, but he says something like, the you'll everything comes from me, and you will soon see that everything you does serves me, though you may try to alter it in my despite. And that is, it's just the fact that Tolkien keeps using the same phrasing makes me think that this is like a theme he thinks about all the time.
Mm-hmm. But World War One was totally normal. There was no, like, I don't know, it has nothing to do with this, okay?
So yeah, it's
but yeah, so the darkness that was supposed to help the orcs and are also hindering them because the Rohirrim
it's now hiding
are
a
able,
whole army of horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they the orcs often destroy stuff for sometimes just to be dicks. That's just what they do. And so they destroyed this wall, and it's like, oh, thanks. It would have sucked if you would have fortified that wall against us. Now we can just run right through.
Homer says his biggest concern was that they were going to take the walls and then hold them. But knowing that they were in such frenzy to tear Gondor down brick by brick, that they have torn Gondor down brick by brick, they're doing good. And Theoden says, and I'm sure you liked this as well, once again, I thank you, Ghân-buri-Ghân.
I wrote this one down too as a paraphrase.
Good fortune go with you for tidings and for guidance. Kill Gorgon, kill orc folk. No other words, please.
Yeah. He was like, I thank you. You always have a friend in Rohan. Yep, whatever. Enemies that way. I'm out. Get to work.
And so the speech Theoden gives in the movies, you know, it's a shield day, a red day, whatever. Bits and pieces of that it's assembled from bits and pieces of this chapter. And some of it comes here. We must look for fell deeds and the need of all our strength. Aomer's like, so when we get there, we're going to have to fight pretty quick. So we're not going to get there soon enough to make, like, city's going to burn. So let's rest now, ride through the night, come on them in the morning. And Theoden's like, it's a good plan. And he starts telling everybody where they're going to go. And he's like, you're going to go Elfhelm, you know, you're going to go this way. Eomer, you're going to go that way. Kingsguard, we're going to go down the middle. And Mary thinks it's a little strange that Durnhelm is assigned to Elfhelm's company, but he's going with the Kingsguard. And he's just sort of like hanging back and making sure nobody notices he's going with the Kingsguard.
This is when Mary is thinking back to Theoden's words of like, what would you do in a battle? Are you gonna swing a sword at an orc? Like, really? And he's like, crap, he might have had a point.
Mary was riding behind Durnhelm, clutching with the left hand while the other tried to loosen his sword in its sheath. He felt now bitterly the truth of the old king's words. In such a battle, what would you do, Meriadoc? Just this, he thought. Encumber a rider and hope at best to stay in my seat and not be pounded to death by galloping hooves. He's like, well, you know what? Priority one, hang on.
You know, not a bad strategy, all things considered.
They take the wall. And then they keep going and keep going. And they kind of get behind the invading army. And no one has noticed. Such was the mind and will of the Black Captain, bent wholly on the falling city. No tidings had come to him warning him that his design held any flaw. And they're amazed kind of at how far they get, and still no one has noticed them. They've managed to just kill or chase off any orcs who saw them coming, which is, again, though Tolkien doesn't specifically call it out, again, that's evil undoing itself. These guys don't really care. Sauron can force people to do things to a point, but when push comes to shove, those guys aren't going to risk their lives to let you know that somebody's coming.
Yeah, sounds like someone else's job. My job was to dig a trench. You told me to do that. I did it. I'm not happy about it. I'm going to go sit in that trench now, because that's my next job. I don't care. I don't care.
But when they finally get close and they see the state that Minas Tirith is in, there is a moment.
Did we mention on the podcast Grond, the battering ram? I found out that the reason it's named... Yeah, we talked about it last chapter, and I was like, why is it named Grond? And then I was looking up stuff on Morgoth, and it turns out Grond is the name of his hammer, and that battering ram is named after his mighty hammer.
And that is a thing of Sauron's, is he's not... I don't think Sauron himself is claiming to be a god. He's claiming that Morgoth is the one true god. And that he is, Morgoth's prophet.
Ah. So Sauron won. Is he just going to, hope? Like, what happens if Morgoth gets out? Does Morgoth give him a tussle of the hair and go, attaboy? Or is he like, and now you're done?
So I don't think Sauron thinks Morgoth is getting out. But if Morgoth does get out, Sauron's going to be like, hey, conquered it for you. Welcome back, my lord.
We're cool, right?
Yeah. Sauron, I don't...
How did Sauron escape getting smited in the war?
The Valar aren't... they're a little naive. I believe Sauron... I think he gets captured, actually. And he's
like a promise I won't do it again.
No, he's a Maya. And they, I guess, as one of them, they afford him a little bit of dignity. Mm-hmm. He surrenders, and he says he will report to Valinor to hear their judgment and seek their pardon.
And he bail jumps.
Yeah, he bail jumps.
I'll be right before the court. I'll accept your judgment. Real sorry. And then okay, they're gone. See you later.
Yeah, he hides in the darkest corner of Middle Earth and just waits for everybody to forget.
Oh my god, that is hilarious.
Yep. So they have this moment where they're just utterly they think they're too late. That this is the apocalypse. But then Merry felt it at last, beyond a doubt, the change. A wind was in his face, light was glimmering. Far away in the south, the clouds could be seen dimly moving. At that same moment, there was a flash, as if lightning had sprung from the earth beneath the city. For a searing second, it stood dazzling far off in black and white.
Oh, this is the apocalypse is a line from Radioactive by Imagine Dragons.
I wouldn't know.
That's where I heard that before.
The only lyrics I know to Radioactive are radioactive. So I hate Imagine Dragons if that hasn't been made canon in the Tolkien podcast. I loathe them. I prefer Nickelback.
Oh my god.
I'm dead serious. I fucking loathe Imagine Dragons.
I would... You know what? Name an Imagine Dragons song that involves sexual assault.
Look, Imagine Dragons, they're better people than Nickelback. Their songs are all just 3 minutes too long. Like, it's fun to make fun of Nickelback, at least. Like, everybody's done the look at this photograph.
That was them?
Yeah, that was Nickelback. But an Imagine Dragons song, it's not even fun. It's tedious to make fun of because you have to remember listening to it.
Radioactive.
Yeah, see that? Just the way you said radioactive just once was enough to, like, make me... It's nails on a chalkboard to me.
I just play that mummy game again.
I despise Imagine Dragons. I could do a whole separate podcast just checking it. It's like that guy who has that Twitter account. It's like, is Ronald Reagan still dead? And every day he's like, still dead. That's how I feel about Imagine Dragons. Anyway, so they see this light and they're like, nah, we got this. And Theoden says, arise, arise, riders of Theoden. Fell deeds awake, fire and slaughter. Spear shall be shaken, shield be splintered. A sword day, a red day, ere the sun rises. Ride now, ride now, ride to Gondor. And I was going to make a joke about how, probably like maybe 20 people heard him. But actually, there's some magic in there. This is one of Tolkien's. Every now and then, Tolkien will do a superlative where something is just the most something it has ever been. And in this case, he cried in a loud voice, more clear than any there had ever heard a mortal man achieve before. It was the loudest and most awesomest speech.
And that was a direct quote.
And ride they did.
Yeah. And they have a grand old time.
Theoden rode the fastest. His bannermen couldn't keep up. His king's guard couldn't keep up. It seemed as though he were ready to die, or the battle fury of his fathers ran like new fire in his veins. And he was borne up on Snowmane like a god of old, even as Orome the Great in the Battle of the Valar when the world was young. So there's a reference to the Silmarillion.
So what is the world now? Is it old or like middle-aged?
It's seen a couple ages, you know.
The world is a teenager or something.
So Orome, I believe the battle he's referring to. Orome is the hunter of the Valar. He's kind of like I can't really think of a good equivalent except maybe like Artemis. Like he kind of goes out ranging and hunting.
And he does a little bit of that moon sugar and puts on a lot of disguises and comes up with real elaborate plans.
That's Athena.
Oh, yep, you're right. God, that's immediately who I went to. But
no, Artemis is the Virgin Huntress.
Yeah.
So
Artemis. Yeah, I remember.
Orome is male though. Orome is the one who first finds the elves. He's one of the few Valar who leaves Valinor and ranges around Middle-earth. He takes great pleasure in slaughtering Morgoth's monsters. And when
we could use some help. We kind of got a situation right here.
So he has helped at least twice now. When they find the elves, they're like, okay, we should get rid of Morgoth. We can't let him go while the children of Iluvatar are running around. And they kick Morgoth's ass and they bring him to Valinor. That's the first time they do that.
Yeah, I know that they put him in jail for a little bit, and then he's like, "I'm real sorry. Promise."
Well, they put him in jail for a lot of bit. I mean, he's there for thousands of years, but
like, what's thousands of years to an immortal being?
They gave him 60 consecutive life sentences. But he wound up getting out for good behavior. They let him serve him concurrently. It turned into a whole big thing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you vote for liberal gods. Not hard enough on justice or on criminals.
The comparison to Orome rides a horse. He is a hunter. I don't know if his weapons are described in the Silmarillion. I think it's kind of traditional hunter stuff, bow and spear. So Theoden with his spear out, riding Snowmane, is recalling an image of the gods. And then, and I love the end of this chapter, and then all the host of Rohan burst into song, and they sang as they slew, for the joy of battle was on them. And the sound of their singing that was fair and terrible came even to the city. And I would love for Tolkien to tell me what that song sounded like.
Oh,
because
Tom
Tolkien,
Bombadil, Tom
I was gonna say,
Bombadillo.
Tolkien famously thought jazz was a bit much. So I would love to know what the battle hymns of the Rohirrim were. No,
Death
Tolkien.
metal.
Weirdly enough, Tolkien lived long enough to have heard Led Zeppelin sing about him, though I'm sure he never heard Led Zeppelin. And if he had, he would have asked them to turn it off. But yeah, well, that's chapter 5. So now the next chapter is one of the famous ones. People definitely remember the Battle of the Pelennor Fields.
Yeah, there's that's what the name of the battle in the movie was.
Get ready for a biggin.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road is gone, and I must follow it, if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet. And whither then, I cannot say.